Olmo, Rodri Oyarzabal, and Fabian Ruiz right there in the finals of all of those games. Yes, we have them. This quartet: Olmo, Rodri, Oyarzabal, and Fabian Ruiz right there in 2019 for the Euro Under 21 final, in the Euros for 2024 which they won, and in the 2026 World Cup final which they played against Argentina. Not like others did not play in some of the other games, but I'm talking about the finals itself. And it is quite telling when you have a manager that has actually looked across and used the likes of Marco Asensio, right there, Dani Ceballos. He's also used the likes of Jesus Vallejo, of course Pablo Fornes, and of course many others right there, including Junior Firpo. Of course, you talk about players like Alvaro Morata, Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal, amongst those that he has utilized before now to actually play through the games and of course win titles right there. So it's been incredible actually talking about this guy. Now let's go over to the transfer markets, shall we? Well, of course, in the transfer market, let's get you this one. One man is off the market. Morgan Rogers signed a 6-year contract as a new Chelsea player. Well, it's interesting. Looking at that move, it's 117 million pounds from Aston Villa, completed yesterday, and of course the agreement includes an option to extend the contract until June 2033. It's a fixed fee, yes, for everybody who wants to know. The report from England is that it's a fixed fee, no add-ons in that 117. So it's 117 million straight up cash. No add-ons right there. No waiting to meet obligations or anything. It's just right there. And of course, Chelsea have remained in active talks. Aside signing Morgan Rogers right there, they are remaining in active talks to get a new centre backs. And of course, one of those is Maxence Lacroix, who is a priority target for them. Well, negotiations are ongoing with all parties, and of course, Crystal Palace, the players camp, Lacroix, the king on the move, and of course, it's going to be interesting how everything turns out right there. All right, let's give this one straight on as well. Manchester United have actually invested for the future with the signing of highly rated teenager, the winger from Tottenham Hotspur, Tinan Thompson. And of course, the youngster actually joins as part of United's continued emphasis on recruiting elite youth prospects as they build for the future. I remember the deal for Hayden Evan. This one looks like it. And of course, a lot of people have looked at how Manchester United have snapped it. Now, some of the sources I spoke with actually pointed out some things right there in that deal. And of course, they revealed that what happened really was that the lad, he had experience looking to move away actually from there, from London. And yes, indeed, looking at that, they informed Manchester United, sources informed Manchester United about the possibility of the lad's availability. And Manchester United said, if not, why not? If his parents are moving away from London and they can come to Manchester, why not now? What come for? Bring him, come here now. And of course, that's how the deal came through. And yes, indeed, one of the brightest prospects in England, scoring 7 in 7 games across the youth games right there in the youth leagues in England, has been able to actually make that signature for Manchester United. And it's very interesting right about now. We know that there are different clubs accelerating negotiations ahead of the busiest weeks of the transfer window. Several Premier League sides are remaining active in the markets as managers are looking to finalize their squads. Actually, as they look to actually get into competitive action when the leagues are resuming. Well, of course, we are expecting another wave of interested activities. But for now, what we know is that Liverpool, they have secured the signature of Szoboszlai. You are expecting something else. Well, Dominik Szoboszlai has actually put pen to paper, signing a new 5-year contract, and the Hungarian international has described the extension as another step towards achieving his ambition of winning the UEFA Champions League with the Reds. That's what he said. And definitely, they want Dominik to come through and dominate the midfield rather than the Premier League in years to come for them. Well, remember we told you about Saibari. Yeah, the deal is completed. He's made the move over right there to the club, and of course, he's gone to Bayern Munich right about now. The deal is a 55 million euro pounds, 55 million euros deal actually, and of course, a 24-year-old actually has gone on to join them, and of course, it's very interesting talking about what has happened on that particular front. There are more stories right there in the transfer market, but then of course, let's give you a straight one. Coming from CAF, because the reports that we have right here is that CAF is set to discuss major reforms for African football during a series of meetings which will be led by Patrice Motsepe, the president of CAF. Now, some of the key topics include development projects, including the reconstruction of 30 stadiums across less developed African countries. That's talking about new safety and security standards for CAF competition. They will also be talking about Cameroon's proposal for an African Nations League system based on the rankings, and of course we're talking about the possible creation of African Nations League for the under-17 and the under-23. Well, of course, that one will be huge for the players out there. They're also talking about possible changes to the CAF club competitions, including Champions League and Confederation Cup formats. Remember that there was a proposal to expand the CAF Champions League and the Champions League, the Confederations Cup as well. And of course, there are ongoing debates around the club registration deadlines. And of course, these are some of the things that we have right here. There's also updates on the AFCON 2027 and the 2028 AFCON. And yes, CAF will give us something. But then CAF has also confirmed there is no extension of the club registration deadline beyond July 25, or at least until now. At least until now, we know that there's no extension. And our member associations must submit club licensing files by the deadline, although individual exemptions can be requested right there. Well, Motsepe will address these issues during the press conference in Johannesburg tomorrow, and we're waiting for that. While we're waiting for that, let's go for this commercial break, and we'll return right here with more stories from the ever exciting all sports.
AC Reformation Land ilé àtúnṣe níbi ayẹyẹ àjọ̀dún ogójì ọdún tá a pè àkórí rẹ̀ ní rírọ́nilágbára nípa oore ọ̀fẹ́ látọjọ́ Monday ogúnjọ́ oṣù keje ó ń lètò àjọ̀dún yóò ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú oríṣiríṣi ètò bíi àgbàràgbé àdúrà láago 6 ìrọ̀lẹ́ ó lètò ó máa wáyé lọ́jọ́ ajé Monday àtọjọ́ ìṣẹ́gun Tuesday lọ́jọ́ àbámẹ́ta Saturday July 25th òun láòtàmì òróró láwọn èèyàn lórí tá a sì fáwọn èèyàn ní àmì ẹ̀yẹ dédé aago 12 ọ̀sán tó bá wá dọjọ́ àìkú Sunday òun gangan lètò àjọ̀dún ó wáyé o dédé aago 10 àárọ̀ nílé ìjọsìn wa tó wà ní Adéṣiyàn bus stop Olúlọ́yọ̀ Àkànrán road lábẹ́ iṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́ Prophet Timothy àti màmá Evangelist Joyce Arabambi. Pastor Dr. Henry Ojo CAC President ń bọ̀, Pastor Dr. J.D. Onagua CAC General Superintendent ń bọ̀, Prophet Caleb Ọládìran Olúládé Bàbá Àdúà AK-47 ń bọ̀, Reverend Dr. Olúfúnkẹ́ Adétúbẹ̀rù tó ìmọ̀ Evangelist Elijah Akíntúndé Ọlọ́run ò sọ bẹ́ẹ̀, Reverend Gbadé Ògúnlànà pàìtọ́ wa náà ní gbẹ̀yìn ẹ máa bọ̀ wá pàdé Jésù olùgbàlà.
Ààrẹ Ìbàdàn àwọn àjèrè níta wá.
Ó pè ọ́ kó o kéde ọjà rẹ nílé akéde Oluyole FM 98.5 kíkéde ọjà rẹ kó lè kún níbàárà rẹ la.
Welcome back. Yes, of course, back from the commercial break. Let's talk about former Aston Villa striker John Duran, who joined Benfica on a season-long loan from Saudi Arabian side Al Nassr. Well, the Portuguese Giants will be the 7th club in his career at the age of 22. Just 22, you don't enter 7 clubs. Well, it's gotten recent stints with Fenerbahce, Zenit St. Petersburg, among several others, and now we know that Benfica will pay a £5.19 million loan fee for the Colombia international, with the option to make the move permanent for about £25.5 million at the end of the coming season. This is a lad who began his professional career with Colombian side Envigado in 2019 before ending a move to MLS team Chicago Fire in 2022. He was on the move again in January 2023 when he joined Aston Villa for £14 million and quickly became a fan favourite. Now, he moved to West Ham fell through in the summer of 2024, but after scoring a famous winner for Villa against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, Duran got sold to Al Nassr for £71 million in January 2025. Now, despite scoring 8 goals in 13 games for the Saudi Arabian side, he stayed for only half a season before moving to Fenerbahce on loan. Well, the manager who got him through, Jose Mourinho, was sacked less than a month after Duran made his debut, and the loan was cancelled in February 2026, so he could join Zenit St. Petersburg. Now, after bagging 3 goals in 9 games in Russia, Duran now has the chance to make it home at Benfica in Portugal, and that is his 7th club in the 7th country of his young career. What a story for this lad. It's quite interesting. Alright, let's go on to the World Cup. Now, you might think I'm, doing some things, but then this is just me actually reading out the story from the World Cup, the aftermath right there. I mean, a lot of people said a lot of things. There was the banter, there were a lot of memes. I'll give you this one straight on, coming from the mouths of the man himself. Lionel Messi has said the pain is immense and that it will take time for him to heal after Argentina lost 1-0 to Spain in the World Cup final. Well, that goal from Ferran Torres in the extra time actually saw Spain crowned world champions for a second time, and in Argentina's defense of the title they won in 2022. Well, Messi has now lost 2 World Cup finals. I remember in 2014 they were defeated 1-0 by Germany. Mario Götze. At 39 years old, Messi quite probably unlikely to feature at the 2030 tournament, although he's yet to clarify his international future. But he has written on social media and he says the pain is immense and this wound will take time to heal, but I also hold on to all the good things. The matches we turned around by giving it our all, moments that will remain in our memories forever, and the support of an entire country, which combined with this group's hard work and effort brought us back among the world's elite once again. It is hard to fully appreciate our achievement right now, but this group reached 2 consecutive World Cup finals. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for every greeting and a message. Once again, we managed to unite as a country and stand together, sharing the immense pride of being Argentine. I also want to congratulate Spain on winning the championship. End of quote from Lionel Messi. Well, Lionel Messi contributed 8 goals and 4 assists as Argentina reached the final for the 3rd time in the past 4 World Cups, and he played a key role in the side coming from behind to beat Egypt and England in the knockout stages, but he could not overcome a Spain side that conceded 1 goal in the whole of the tournament. Well, of course, let's just let you know that the FIFA's disciplinary committee has appointed a disciplinary and ethics prosecutor to investigate altercations between both sets of players at the full-time whistle. Argentina will face an investigation into the ugly scenes at the end of the World Cup final. This has been confirmed by FIFA and it's quite something looking at what happened after the final whistle at the MetLife Stadium in New York, New Jersey. Well, it's of course the same ground where Messi announced that he was going to be retiring several years back, saying the national team glory was not for him. But look at what's happened in that time. Well, of course, any player or coach involved in the fracas could face suspension, while the Argentine Football Association, the AFA, might also be fined. Well, if you remember, after that 1-0 defeat in the hands of Spain on Sunday, members of the Argentina team and backroom staff were involved in altercations with Spain players as they began to celebrate their World Cup success. And some of those players included Nahuel Molina, the major culprits shown on camera and several videos was Leandro Paredes. We had Thiago Almada also in there. Of course, assistant coach Roberto Ayala, all of them heavily involved. He was initially reported by FIFA that Paredes had been sent off by referee Slavko Vincic after he pushed up Spain's Eric Garcia by the throat. And then later on, he was seen that Paredes' red card was removed from the record shortly afterwards. And FIFA has confirmed that no disciplinary action was taken at the time, which is quite interesting. And now, a reminder that Argentina had already got one player dismissed. Enzo Fernandez received a second yellow in the second half stoppage time. But then FIFA had already begun the process of potential disciplinary action against Argentina after the players held the banner in support of their country's claims to the Falkland Islands following the 2-1 semi-final win against England. And this is part of the controversies that reeled this World Cup, because that move, the flying of that banner, actually got a lot of critics talking on social media afterwards, because of the stance of FIFA over time, saying they were always against some certain moves, but then this was right there in the face. But then of course there was that move right there at full time, where Eric Garcia was running over to back up his teammate. Well, Paredes got involved and he jabbed Garcia in the throat. Gavi tried to intervene and was forced to the ground by Almada, and then again he was pushed by Paredes right there. And all of these were right there in the video. Even still pictures showed all of these images, and they are stuff that we do not want to see. Well, among stuff that we do not want to see, we saw counterfeit football shirts worth over £18 million seized in the UK during the course of the World Cup because of safety concerns. Well, the tournament produced a spike in the sales of fake shirts and kits, and the fire service warned that these items are far more flammable and dangerous than the genuine articles. More than 220,000 pieces of football merchandise were recovered by the Police Intellectual Property Office as part of Operation Block Switch. And that's a UK police enforcement effort targeting counterfeit goods right there. And one raid actually involved 1,618 fake strips being taken from a warehouse in Birmingham, which included replicas of star players such as France, Kylian Mbappe, and Norway's Erling Haaland. And it was quite something, saying that some of these actual jerseys actually contained highly flammable components right there, and it could be harmful to the skin, particularly children's skin. And of course they say yes, the cost might be lower, but then there are potential damages to you and the people making them. Actually, it is far too high to actually allow some of this risk actually go on right there. And of course they're talking about health and fire hazards right there. But I'll be wrapping up the show today talking about Spain having their success reaching on the front line of every paper right there, and of course everybody celebrating them. And yes, they arrived in style. They were welcomed to a sumptuous party right there, and of course this was quite a beautiful right there, looking at everything that happened right there. And of course it was quite beautiful looking at it. Well, of course these are the stories overshadowing stories like that of the UEFA president that's talking about Seferin boycotting the World Cup final in protest against FIFA. I know you didn't hear about that, but then of course jubilation surrounding the success of the World Cup final for Spain actually overshadowing a lot of things. Of course, I'm sure that some of you didn't even know that for Chelsea women, they seeked out the signature of Manchester United woman striker, talking about Malad, for £850,000, and it was quite the marquee signing. Of course, social media is also having some low buzz around this signing of this lady. Fans of the Manchester United ladies are not happy about this particular move, saying why couldn't the club actually secure the signature of this woman for more years instead of letting her actually move to Chelsea, who are well stacked at the moment. But this is where I'll be dropping anchor this morning. A huge shout out to each and every one of you who have joined us right here this morning, following through on all the stories that we have served you from this particular side. There are more stories to tell, and of course that's when you join us right here also on this channel for the Yoruba Sports Program on BCS Television at 2 p.m. later on for the Yoruba Sports Program on television, and of course later on catching us up on the news bulletins. I am Victor Pone. Enjoy the best of your Tuesday.
of Ibadan, the home of ancient warlords. In the Pacesetter state, this is Oluyole FM 98.5.